The Zach Ratliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org.
Hello and welcome to the Zach Ratliff Show. I'm Zach. This is my friend Fabian.
Hi.
Babe, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for asking. How nice of you. I appreciate it.
Oh no, it's just for everybody to know, we met at a radio station. We both
Absolutely.
a radio consortium of different stations, I guess you could call it.
Sure.
And we both worked in different studios and just met in passing.
Yeah.
And developed a friendship with our friend Dee Dee Woods.
Yes. God bless her memory.
Yeah, and gosh, she was a pleasant person.
I miss her every day. I keep up with her kids and her grandkids and so forth. I talked to Raquel, talking to her about different things she's doing. She's being a clothes influencer right now, Walmart clothing, about what you can find for a lot less and put a look together. She is curating looks from Walmart and she's making it work.
Hey, even like my podcast or anybody's podcast, or even when you see the larger podcast, it's amazing what the internet has done.
It's flown right up.
Yeah.
It really has, and it's opened avenues to people. You didn't ever think you would do this, did you?
No, and my kind of radio story was just came in and see if I could do it.
Yeah.
And they took a gamble on me and it worked.
Yeah. Isn't that fabulous?
Yeah. And so so kind of tell, we do a lot of politics, we do a lot of Jesus around here. I know you're not
That's
afraid
okay.
of Jesus.
Not afraid of that.
But kind of tell us who you are, just for everybody that, so I'll tell you this. Less than 45% of our listeners are in Texas, and even smaller than that are in our Texarkana area. So we're in, I think, 37 states across the country.
That's
And
fantastic.
last I counted from the statistics, 10 countries. So kind of let people know who you are.
Well, hello there. My name is Fabienne Thrash, and I have been in broadcasting for, do I say it, 53 years.
Okay.
I started literally as a younger teen, about 14 years old.
Okay.
Okay. Driving myself to the end of the town at Ashdown, going to work, working part-time, driving back home because my mother would let me go that far. She'd let me go to the edge of town. So I would do that, and I have just done it all my life.
Okay.
And I have, you were talking about 37 states. I ended up broadcasting to 38 states and 4 foreign countries when I worked for KWKH-AM.
That's awesome.
Yeah, before it was LSU Network sort of
Right.
thing, back when it was still really country music, and I would work days, I would work nights, sometimes overnight, filling in for the great Larry Scott and for Barney Cannon, who were both drivers, but both announcers.
Right.
And I would fill in for them when they had something going on or they had an overnight trip of their own. I would do it. And man, I met more people that way. Everybody from drivers to military to shut-ins at home. You talk about a blessing. That was one of the coolest things I ever got to do.
That's awesome. Well, when I was telling one of my friends, he gets aggravated, commonly referred to on this show as my liberal friend.
Okay.
But
We all have them, and it's okay.
Yeah, but he's out of DFW. But I was telling him, I said, oh, Fabian, I said, you would know her voice because we grew up with it. And he goes, what? I said, the first time I talked to her, I felt like I'd known her my whole life. But it's because we grew up on your voice, right? We grew up hearing you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been around today. Yeah.
but it took me a second to realize in meeting you why I was so comfortable with you. I'm like, because I've heard you my whole life.
Well, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
I've
you.
never had it explained that way, and I appreciate that. Usually what I get is, my mama and my grandmother just loved you. We get a lot of that. They're not going to admit they knew who I was and enjoyed it too, but
No, it took about 15 seconds for your voice to register the first time I met you, and then as I pondered it over the next few, I'm like, oh, okay. This lady's talked to me my whole life, and I'm comfortable with that.
Well, thank you. That's a great big part of what I was raised to do in this business, in the radio business anyway, is have people be comfortable with you. And no doubt that's why you're reaching 37 states and so forth, because people are comfortable with you and your message, Zach. So you're doing the right things. You're hitting the right marks.
Well, hey, I appreciate that. And, what I tell people is kind of like when I tell a joke, as long as I think it's funny, I'll laugh at my own jokes in case nobody else does. So kind of what I do here is I'm gonna do what I want to do. Come join me if you like it.
Well, that's kinda it. I've always had that vibe too, because if you push out too far, if you try too hard, you know what happens? It's like trying to push a wave. You're not gonna push it. I mean, you're not gonna help yourself.
Right.
You're not gonna help yourself, but if you're like, "Okay, I'll relax, let it hit me."
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah,
It
just
just
kinda
works.
sway back and forth with it.
Right. It's like the old song from the '80s, I guess, "Everything works if you let it."
Okay, yeah. Well, so speaking of being on country music stuff, you're in the Texas Hall of Fame, right?
Thank you for mentioning that. I am. I have been in the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame since 2024, inducted the same day as Tracy Lawrence was.
Isn't that awesome?
Is that crazy?
Yeah.
And that was such a pride moment for me. It's like, "Foreman?" And, "Come Foreman."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Go Ashdown."
Yeah.
Little River County, we represented.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, same county being inducted into the Texas Country Music Hall,
Hey,
same day.
I always say that God has a plan and a sense of humor. So there you are.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were talking about before the show. Yeah, God's sense of humor. That's why I'm like, if we're made in His image, He has a sense of humor.
Yes, he does. He made me. He made you. That's the way I look at it. He made us. He made the platypus.
Yeah,
He made the
which is a hilarious sound.
it's like, okay, spare parts. And I had this feeling like, what if I could put together, I'm bored. What if I could put together something that lays eggs, but it's a mammal and it has a duck bill, but it has claws and it has all this going on.
It's like just to show you once you think you know science, you don't. Like I'm in control. That's what the platypus does.
Always, always, absolutely.
It's amazing. Well, your journey, kind of walk us through. So you're still on the radio.
Believe it or not. Yes,
Yeah,
I am. I am middays at 1039 The Pig in Texarkana. We stream live, by the way,
perfect.
and it is perfect. Thank you. I'm on from 10 to 3,
Yeah.
just playing music, playing fun games,
I started to message you a couple times when I was listening to that.
Cute,
How I get busy or distracted, but I listen through my phone and
cute.
yeah, and so I'll just be doing whatever and just I'm just there with you and enjoying it.
Thank you. It's the crazy thing. I can kind of feel the vibes. I can feel that. Okay, there's folks out there. They've got my back. They're with me.
There that is one thing I learned after being on the radio for a couple years was you do, especially when you feel like you've hit a rhythm. All of a sudden, people are listening, and not because they're telling you. It's just And on some days you feel like it's off, and some days you feel like it's on. But when it's on, it's on.
It's absolutely on, and it's amazing. People, just like you just did, will tell me out of nowhere, see me in the store, or I have asked, "Stuart, will you hand me that?" On the top shelf there. "Are you Fabian?" That
Yeah,
kind of thing. People will do that. You never know who's listening. And there's a responsibility in that, by the way.
there is, and even I put out a little, um, just a short yesterday. It was a clip from yesterday's show that said, "Hey, look, if you get offended." You think by me coming on a podcast or one of my guests coming on a podcast and saying something, and look, we say controversial stuff on here all the time,
Sure.
founded in truth, generally, unless it's an obvious joke.
Mhm.
Um, but if you get offended, I wasn't talking about you. I don't know you're listening because I'd seen some pushback in a couple places. I'm like, I don't know you're listening. I don't know if you're downloading, but if you're offended, that's your business.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You're not out to offend people.
No,
You're
but the
not.
truth is offensive sometimes.
Well, yeah, people don't wanna hear truth,
Right.
as we know. It happens.
Right.
It does, and, you can't do a lot about that. Only thing you can do is about for you
Yeah.
and your situation and your heart and what you're led to do. And as long as you keep that in mind, not being such a people pleaser, I'm speaking to myself now.
Oh, I am.
y-
Yeah.
but if you do that, if you take care of that situation, let some things go, you're better off.
Well, it's in Matthew that he says, the birds of the air don't worry, the flowers don't worry.
Right.
Well, just let it go. And then he says, what minute will stress out was what hour will stress add to you?
Yeah,
It won't.
it
Just
won't.
let it go. If you can't control it, or even if you could and you didn't, move on.
Move on because there was some reason for it, there
It
that
might have
had
been your
nothing.
bad decision, but you can still move on.
Right. Consider those lilies and move on. That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Let me tell you, the first, I don't. It wasn't the first time you and I talked, but it was looking for it in my mind. You and Dee Dee were, um,
Yeah. Friend.
y'all were in your studio, and she'd walked over. For everyone doesn't know, there were 4 studios on a hallway.
Yep.
You had one, Dee Dee had one, and I had the back one,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other one was for
Production
editing.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you and Dee Dee were in there and had pizza from our local pizza truck. And
Mm-hmm.
you're like, have you tried any of this pizza? And you and I had hello and acknowledged each other, and I was like, no, I hadn't. You're like, well, have a piece. And I'm like, what? That was a big deal to me just to offer because it was a kind
Well,
gesture.
we do that. We did that for everybody. We still do that. We're those people. Or
I
I
understand,
still act as if she's here because in my heart and my soul, she's with me.
right? But your kindness, I'm like, okay, I can identify with this person because that I would have done the same thing,
Of course you would.
and so, but everybody's not that way.
That's true,
And
and I
so
forget that too.
instantly, and so then Dee Dee would come and she'd be, she would catch me at a commercial break or before or after the show, and we just pray together,
Yes.
and
Yes,
we just
Dee.
pray together, and then we'd laugh about it. I'd say, Dee Dee, here's a black woman and a white guy who know nothing about each other except for Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and we
Mm-hmm.
prayed together at least weekly, probably more.
Probably more. She and I had so much appreciation for you because of your little girl,
Um,
raising your little girl and trying to hit every right note you possibly could.
well, I
We,
appreciate that.
you're welcome. Absolutely. Not all of us have perfect pitch, but you do pretty well.
Well, when we're done recording this, I'll play it for you. We'll play her intro. I've got an intro of her doing the show intro, so I'll add that onto the front of the show.
Thank you. Thank you. You
And
will make my day.
and so yeah, she sat in that chair out there. She goes, "Daddy, can I record your opening?" I said, "Sure." And so I let her lay it down, and we'll put that on the we'll put
Please
that.
do. Oh,
Well, the one thing, so at the radio station, she had gone, which I've always been big. One, you're going to order your own food. You're going to ask for your own things. You're going to speak to whoever. So she got back from NASA one summer, went on with her mom. And they went on a tour, or whatever.
oh, wow.
And she had to come to the radio station with me quite often. And I said, hey, we're going to do a 10-minute interview of you talking about NASA.
That's excellent.
And she goes, what am I supposed to do? I said, and this was before the show. I said, during my first segment, write down 20 things that you remember about it, and then hand me that list.
Perfect.
And then how a radio interview goes. Like this one is completely unscripted, but a lot of times you can have you've got you steer the conversation.
Sure.
And she hit 10 flawless minutes explaining her trip to NASA, and I said, she can do this.
Well, of course she could. And that's the thing. We need to pass those tools along to kids.
Right.
Oh, that's the only thing broadcasting has not been doing, sadly, since the 90s. We aren't training our own. We're
Right.
not raising our own.
Right.
The ones that are out here doing this, these younger ones that are doing this, I admire you because you're using the technology, you're using the tools.
Right.
You've had to figure it out on your own, and I compliment you highly for being able to make that. It was not made easy for you, so therefore you're there for a reason.
Right. Well, and I think due to all the technology, there will be some. Well, just like you live stream,
Mhm.
traditional media is going to catch up as much as it can,
Sure.
and it hasn't waned, right? I mean, there's traditional media is still a big player. If you get in your car or your truck or whatever, it's easy to turn that on. Now, a lot of people my age definitely get on and turn on the podcast, and because I get a lot of people that are like, "We need your shows to at least be an hour because I can listen on the way to work and on the way home."
Wow.
And I'm like, that's a lot of talking with no commercial break.
Mhm.
Because we get used to the time. Oh, you've got 7 minutes here. You've got your 12 minutes here, and that makes it
That
easy.
means it's time to raise the rates if you got 12 minutes over here or you got You better raise the rates.
That's exactly right. Well, so we were in a discussion before we started about just about God,
Mhm.
and I, if it's okay,
Sure, it's okay.
because I have what I've started when I left the radio station, a little after you left was 3 months after you left,
Yeah.
and I wasn't going to do it anymore.
Really?
I was through, and I had a buddy who he actually when I first started this, it was all his equipment,
Right.
and then found a place for me to do it, and he's like, man, go do it. And I'm like, I don't know, but it's amazing. I can't remember where I was going with that, but it's amazing how God will put into line
Mhm.
things for you, and
Will.
you really don't know. You don't know how that all lines up. Then you look up, and the next thing you know, you got a studio, and you've got this, or even on your journey. Next thing you know, you're on the pig,
Mhm.
and we talk throughout this whole thing, and
Yes.
it's like, okay, God, we just have to give it to Him sometimes. I think,
Well, he's in charge of it anyway.
yeah,
There's no amount of manipulation or movements, boisterous or not, that we
right,
can make that are going to keep him from doing what he's going to do. He's already been knowing
right.
what's going on,
That's good.
and he's like, "Poor Fabe. All right, oh, she'll catch up eventually.
Yeah,
Poor Zach. But I've got him. He'll work it out."
yeah,
And that's all of us, really. Poor Bo.
right.
He's doing this. It's not my will, but let him figure it out, and then he'll see it. Yeah, I've learned that much.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm no theology major, but the way I look at it is God knows everything you're going to do. Now you've got the chance, and He knows every thought you can make. And so
Absolutely.
there's a plan. He's so big that He can do that for all of us, and all of it He can direct us back to Him. But we don't have to go back to Him.
No, no, we have free will.
But He's got it set up for
Success.
we can go back to Him,
Right.
and that's what I've seen since you and I've become friends with
Right.
you and definitely with me. And then the one thing I was getting to was, golly, I went through a period of depression a couple of years ago where I'm driving down the road, and it's like the Spirit of God came over me and said, "Hey, you can be happy again." And it was just I started laughing and then crying tears of joy for no other reason than I heard God say that. And this is what I told you, and I'll tell everybody else. I felt like if you looked in my truck at that point, you could have seen God riding with me. And that's one thing I wanted to do with this podcast is we got three principles. Number one, I'm a Christian.
Sure.
Number two, I'm a dad.
Yes.
Number three, I'm a son. Well, I got more than that. Then number four, I'm a conservative. And that's
That's
how.
right.
So that's all. We don't fear away from little Jesus around
No, we don't fear away from that at all. And I think that's wonderful because at that moment he set you free.
here.
You realize that he gave you that grace of freedom. Sorry, my phone is going off,
That's fine.
and I'm trying to keep
It,
it to
it won't
stop
it
it.
won't pick it up.
Okay. But he gave you that grace of freedom, and how amazing is that? Not many people can articulate that, say that,
Right.
but you just did, and I feel that very strongly, and I hope that feeling is passed on to everyone that's listening at this podcast.
Well, so that's kind of what I kind of want to get into your journey, however much of it you want to lay out here. But
Sure.
as I've watched you and some of the struggles that I've known you've gone through, you never lost that. You never lost even, and it was through text or Facebook Messenger that we've kept up with each other, and a couple of phone calls, I think.
Yeah.
And but you never lost your faith or the sight that it was always God's got it. God's going to direct this.
Yeah, yeah.
That,
Yeah. Even though I got down about it, I got depressed. I
yeah,
got depressed because, shoot, I lost 3 jobs last year. Three,
right.
three.
And that's not fun.
It's not fun. I'm like, what's wrong with me? You do take it personally.
Yeah,
It's like, can I just not work anymore? What's going to happen here? I
right,
was not ready for this. And I think what I have learned is that not every job is for you,
right.
but you know what you can do, and I'm going to put you there.
I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that's right too. All I did was I was on another job hunt. I was out having an interview. Then I happened to go by. where the studios are now over on Summerhill Road.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, just going to step in and see what JW's got going on here.
See what's
Let's see what this looks like. Because, man, that whole system, it's very pretty. It's very nice.
right.
And Janelle was there. And I talked to him. I said, "Man, I miss this." And they said, "Well, I know you've been doing this for a long time." I said, "And I don't know where this came." Well, you know who did it,
Yeah,
okay?
right.
And I said, "Wouldn't it be great if I could be on midday here and maybe help you out with sales?" What? What? Where did that
Right.
come from? Because I didn't really want to sell, but
Yeah.
that came right out of my mouth. And I thought, "Why did I say that?" You know? But he has she says, "Well, contact Kat and Joplin." And next thing I know, Kat said, "Well, welcome home."
Yeah.
That was pretty much what it was, just that easy. I was hired and I've
But
been doing sales. I've been doing it.
that's good. But you listen to that voice in your head that said, "Hey, go in there.
Just go in there. It
Just
was
stop in there."
overwhelming. It was overwhelming.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of times the issue is you've got these two voices. Which one are you going to answer to? You, the flesh, or hopefully you're going to not the flesh, right? But not, and so golly, that's the struggle that we all have, though, right? That's real life for everybody that's listening, whether they
Absolutely.
acknowledge it or not.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you have any sense of self and not self,
Right.
okay, who you going to listen to? Because there's two not selves that you could listen
Yeah.
to. One is a bad setup all the
Yeah.
time, every time,
No
just
matter how good it looks.
no matter. Yeah, in fact, the better it looks, you better look at it,
That's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, Lucifer, as an angel,
right?
was the most beautiful thing, most beautiful, most appealing thing, visually, audibly,
Hmm.
it could play on that God had created.
Right.
We have this image of the devil in our minds of, oh, we'll see him coming because he'll have a pitchfork and red horns.
Oh no.
No, he can, and you know, right now he can give you anything in this world he wants to give you.
Yeah, but what do you got to give back to
That's
him?
exactly right.
You know?
So it isn't going to look bad what he brings to you. Always. I mean, it will end bad,
Yeah.
but it's enticing, right?
That's the whole point of it. It's like, here's a pizza. It could be pizza. Oh, pizza. See that? Well, that would be that.
Victim of that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And usually that's driven by depression or some ill
That's right.
feeling,
Yeah.
something like that. And God's like, all right, here's pizza. Um, you could eat a piece or two of this, but don't be stupid. Put it in the fridge, and
Yeah.
you know it's your choice. But I have food to sustain you. It's supposed to taste good. It's supposed to be good.
You're
That
supposed to
doesn't
enjoy
mean
it.
you
Yeah.
have to have the whole pie.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, let's kind of get back to your journey. Just to kind of take us through, um, you know, and this is what I find interesting, based off what you just said, was you and Tracy Lawrence went into the Hall of Fame at the same time, both in the same county, and then here you were emceeing his event the other night, weren't you?
Oh, well, I was part of it. There
Yeah.
were there were a lot of folks locally
Right.
that were doing that, and I was standing there with Mario. Now, Mario and I have long history.
Okay.
We've known each other 40 some odd years. We were trying to count it up.
Uh-huh.
40 some odd years. Young pups in this industry. Now we're not young pups. But he was supposed to reach out to me. Marlon Lineberry says, "Hey," told Mario, "Get Fabe, y'all do some of this together, okay?" And so I called him. I said, "Hey, did you forget to tell me something?" He says, "Oh yeah, are you going to come and let's do this?" I said, "I can't think anybody I'd rather because it's
Right.
it's you first of all, And I wanted to make sure that people knew that this event, which really was an outstanding event,
It was a huge event.
it was huge. It went well, and Don Ruggles, bless his memory, what a great guy he
I
was.
don't know.
I did, and he was really an excellent dude. I mean, he brought LifeNet here for goodness sake.
Okay.
He was LifeNet because he was a helicopter pilot.
Gotcha.
So that's why we had LifeNet. So here, he was being honored. Bob Brueggemann was
Yeah,
there
I know
doing
him.
all of that, and this honor for Don's family.
Uh,
And the whole thing was you had all of the radio stations locally here in town that were working, collaborating on this together.
which if most people probably won't know, I'm not going to be disparaging towards any radio stations,
No,
but it's kind of like the mob. You stay over in your area, we'll stay in our area,
you got that
we'll
right.
stay in our area, and we'll acknowledge the three families or whatever, and but everybody go do your own thing.
Everybody go do your own thing because we're all looking for the same dollar. And let me tell you something, it's kind of hard to hustle those dollars right now.
That's,
It really is.
that's in every industry
True.
existing right now.
But this year has really shown a lot of us that. There
Yeah.
are other people, like friend Wes, he went into sales too. He's on the air and he's in sales.
Yeah.
So we could talk a lot
I
about
like West too.
Wes is good people, but you saw on that stage you had Mario and me, you had Jeff, you had all of this, and it was all for a good common cause.
Right.
It was Veterans Day, or the celebration of Veterans
Right.
Day. It was for Don Ruggles and his contributions to our community, which were many,
Right.
many. And to me, it was, look, see here, we can play nice.
Right.
Now, if we can play nice, you don't try to pit us against each other, okay?
Right.
That was my whole thing about it. Plus, great show,
Well, and that's what I heard. The show
fabulous.
was amazing.
Tracy was just, hey, we
Yeah.
did the meet and greet backstage, all this, did the pictures. I said, hey, hey there, Grace. And he goes, hey, babe.
Well, isn't that awesome that he hadn't. I mean, you don't get much bigger than him over time.
No,
I
18
mean,
number ones.
yeah, and so for him to still come relatively home, not exactly home,
Close enough.
and to know people,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, of course, a lot of people listening are. There's a chance a lot of people listening in our area know somebody that knows him or whatever,
Or related to him or
sister, yeah.
something. Yes.
But it's just an awesome thing. So anyway, so you wind up there, but how's this radio? You told us kind of how it started, so just kind of give us the in between, I guess.
Okay, somewhere I started at KMLA 1039.
Okay.
I mean, I have worked off and on for that frequency, that particular station, most of my life,
Right.
off and on, or go back into somewhere along the way. And here I am again. Everything old is new again.
Right.
So I did that. I did some in college, and I worked downtown at the old KADOK Twin.
Okay.
Uh, had a wonderful time doing that. Did that for many years. Was program director there.
Okay.
Went on to Shreveport.
Right.
Well, I went on. Well, I worked with Mario after I left that. Back at 1039, we called ourselves the Border Patrol.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. We called ourselves the Border Patrol because we were on the border. He was Hispanic. No, Mario has a wonderful sense of humor,
Right.
by the way.
Once
And
again, if somebody's offended, that's their business.
sorry, that's their business, but
Yeah.
he has a wonderful sense of humor. So we got the shirts, we had got fake badges, we got all of it, wore the khakis, and we would show up as the Border Patrol different places.
That's
So,
awesome.
and we did that, and so we just had that little Border Patrol
Uh-huh.
reunion, a couple weeks ago, and then I went on to KWKH in Shreveport, went there to sell, ended up on the air.
Right.
God has a sense of humor. So I worked middays for a while, following Frank Page, Father Frank Page.
Okay.
Yes, he very, very historical figure in country music,
Right.
and I got to that followed Frank Page.
Yeah.
I got to do that. I worked on the FM there as well. I worked shifts. I did a lot of live broadcasts, met a lot of people, and I would fill in overnight during the Interstate Road Show when
Okay.
that was Larry Scott's baby. I mean,
Okay.
Larry Scott in the Country Music Hall of Fame and Radio Broadcasters Hall of Fame and
Okay.
so forth. And Barney Cannon was like his Chief was the number one. When both of them were out for whatever reason, there I was.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got to work overnight and had more fun doing it.
I always wanted to. I guess I didn't want it bad enough to ever try to do it, but I always wanted to have especially when I was younger, wanted to have like a 11 to 2 a.m. slot and
Yeah,
just play what I want to play because I've never got to play music. I've always been in talk, right? And
right.
and so and then kind of throw in a lot one liner here or there, and then I just that always seemed like it would be awesome to me, but you couldn't do it with family, and you couldn't I wanted to do it when I was able to.
Right, understand that, and there's nothing like overnight radio. There's no critter quite like
Right.
overnight radio. Very different from daytime radio, mainly because who responds to you? There are people that are alone. There are people that are extremely depressed. There are people who are looking at a gun, considering suicide.
I mean, that's
That's something else. There are people that will ask you what's the best way to commit suicide. Had that, had that.
there was none.
Yeah, and I said, I can't think of anything. Meanwhile, I had a news person across from me in the next room. We were a big setup. There were 60 people that worked
Oh,
at that.
wow.
Right, but at night there weren't that
Yeah.
many. But you did have a news person doing live news,
Okay.
checking out. And when the song was on, or I'd put this person on hold, can you please uh, call AT&T so we can get somebody to trace this call because this person's in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
on
sent
it.
some help.
You send some help. Can we get this? I said, I'm going to go back and talk to him. I said, if you'll do that, I'll keep them online.
Right.
I'll keep them on the phone. And so I would, and I asked him about all the things that had happened and what was motivating all this. Okay. I asked them about that serious stuff, and I'm scared to death. And that's a God-led thing too. When
Yeah.
you get to, all right, now, how many children did you have? Do you have a puppy or a cat there with you? Just
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
Don't you love that when they miss you? Who's going to take care of them?
Right. You know,
Anything, and the next thing you know, um, banging on the window. Good, it's good. That happened more than once.
isn't that you don't realize even through this I've talked to people who listen to this, regularly but I had someone reach out to me when I was on the radio and said, "Hey, I don't always agree with what you say." I said, "Okay."
Okay.
But they said, "But I listen every day because you're the only person that tells me every day that you hope God blesses me today."
Well, see there.
And and I didn't even realize that I did it that much. Also, I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. I caught a lot of hell for saying that. I was told not to say that on the radio.
Yes, I know.
And
I know.
and,
I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. But you also know me that I just continued to say it and then found a place where I could say it.
Right.
But
Perfect.
to call me and say, I mean, looked up my phone number and called me. Hey, you're the only person that tells me they hope God blesses me every day. Well, now I make a point on this show. I hope God blesses you today
Mhm.
because you don't know, like you're saying, it's amazing who you're affecting in ways that you don't even consider.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's days that, I will meet somebody at a live broadcast or something.
Yeah.
"You helped me through a really hard time." "Oh oh gosh, really? Thank you for saying so." How was it? "Well, my husband had just died, this, that, and the other, but I felt like I had a friend."
Right.
Yeah, if nothing else, that's huge because I have had a husband die. I was 35
Right.
when he passed away, and of course, I've been married for many years now to Stuart, nearly 29 years in
Okay.
February. So we've been together a long time.
Right.
But I understood that. I knew exactly how that felt.
Right.
Okay, and you never know who is really listening, and it is a responsibility. It is a responsibility, whether you've taken it on or not.
That's exactly. I had a guy, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, come on and at the radio station, and we did a whole show on suicide.
Did you? Good.
and because my brother committed suicide.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
that wasn't, it sucked, but it's part of life. But just like you're talking about, the amount of people that reached out to me and said, "Thank you for making this not a taboo subject."
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because do I enjoy talking about it? Absolutely not. Um, I hate it. However, the amount it was probably I couldn't count them on two hands. The amount of people that physically actually reached out to me and told me, "Thank you for making people aware that this is a real thing." So,
Yes, it is.
so that's what you're talking about, and I'm just trying to explain that to everybody that it it's a wild thing. Or even I have friends that don't call. You'll probably, well, I hadn't talked to you in a while. They're, oh, I talk to you every day.
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah, I talk to you, I talk back at you,
Yeah,
whatever. That's the whole point of really effective broadcasting. And you know this by now, but you had to learn it.
yeah, quickly,
And eventually you do pick up if you stay in this long enough. You're not talking at people, you're talking with people.
right?
There is a huge distinction, not at, with.
Yes.
And that's what makes you good, Zach.
Well,
And you are good.
I just use the tools God gave me, and then hope I don't mess it up.
Y y yeah, well, there you go, there you go. But, yeah, I hope you're not messing it up as long as you, know that you're blessed to do this
Right.
and, so forth and so on. But because you are blessed to do this, he puts people in his places that he wants you. And boy, howdy.
Remind me when we're through this. I got a recording I want you to hear. That I just don't have the technology to put it on,
Okay.
but where I would. So anyway, so you go to night radio. You're doing that.
Did that, came home. I decided it was time to come back home,
Uh-huh.
family reasons and so
Right.
forth. Came back home and started working. I worked with Mike and Tex out at the old Cool
Okay.
95.1, which is one of the frequencies in the building where I work. You
Right.
know,
Okay.
so everything circles around. I mean,
That's
this is a small town,
yeah. It is.
but everything circles around. Worked with them, and then made a couple other moves here and there and here and there.
Right.
Long story short, here I am,
And
still on the other somehow,
here we are, and now you're a Hall of Famer, and
which is amazing. I don't know how that happened, but I'm grateful and thankful.
what how'd they notify you on that? They just call you like, hey, we're putting you in the Hall of Fame, or you're being considered, or what?
Tommy Ritter, who is the chair of the Hall of Fame,
Right.
she is Tex Ritter's family
Oh,
and
okay, gotcha.
John Ritter's
Yeah.
family, all this. She decided there needed to be honorarium there in Carthage.
Okay.
Okay. And they've done all kinds of talent shows there, helping get people promoted. And it was decided they needed a Hall of Fame, a literal Hall of Fame. Well, first, of course, Tex,
Right. Right.
but the other one was Willie Nelson first
Oh,
inducted.
okay. Yeah.
Willie played the show. He was down there. He played the show. There's been so many people. If you Now, there's a trip you need to take. You
To
need to go to
Carthage.
Carthage and go look at all of this.
Okay.
It is well done. It is
Okay.
very well done.
Maybe all of you need to if you're going through Texas. With Carthage.
Put Carthage there. Nicest people. Go eat. Go have a good time. Go look downtown at the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame. And heck, you might see me in there, my little plaque in there too. All of this. They give you a huge plaque. Anyway,
That's
rounding
awesome.
back, it is. My friend David, who is a comedian
Right.
for many, many years. Willie P. Richardson, he used to do the phone pranks, all
Oh,
that.
okay.
He is a good friend. He and Tommy
Uh-huh.
came up here and took me to lunch. Well,
Uh-huh.
I rarely get to go to lunch because
Right.
I'm normally on the air, but I took off for lunch. I thought, David's showing up. Yeah, I'm going to go. And Tommy, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then they gave me an official letter asking me would I like to be in the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame. Oh, yes.
Yeah, of course you would.
For me to ditch my own 50th class reunion to go be inducted was hard, but I did do it,
That's awesome.
because they all understood too. They saw, you got to go do this. We'll be here.
Well, that's great. And I just wanted you to come on, Fabe, because I respect you. I love you. I appreciate all that you brought just in knowing you, and especially as we both went through some turbulent times.
Yes,
It
yes.
was great to have a friend that had the like values that I knew. You know what? There's a voice there. There's someone there. So I just appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you for asking me to do this and trusting me with the time.
Oh, for sure.
Well, you know
Yep,
what I
I
mean?
get it.
Uh, there is a lot to be got there. I'm kinda like Dolly Parton in that you never know who she's endorsing or likes or so forth, because she's smart enough to do that.
Yeah,
I don't wanna get into that, and I don't wanna get into it any more than she does.
right.
But Lord, Dolly is a treasure. Anybody who comes up with an idea of putting a book in baby's hands from birth until, age
They've
5,
they've given away so many books.
millions and millions and millions. That's why she is getting the Jean Hersholt, award this year at the, uh, the Oscars. She's getting that.
Is
She's
she
gonna
getting it
be
at the Oscars?
Yeah, she got the Jean Hersholt
Okay.
award for philanthropy, which is exactly what that's for.
You know,
She is so close to being an ERGOT.
I don't know what
Well,
ERCOT is.
that's, Emmys, Grammys,
Oh, okay,
Oscars,
I've heard
and
that too.
theater. Um, she hasn't done well, she did do a little theater, but
She has got theater.
she hasn't had the hit in the theater yet, but, Dolly's still got time.
Yeah,
She's really close to doing it. 3 out of the 4, that's not bad.
man, yeah, that's awesome.
It is, just because she's Dolly, and she does her thing, her way, and she does it with class, she does it with elegance, and she
well,
does it with the grace of God, so there you go.
yeah.
I would hope that I follow in that pattern of grace, elegance, and in the grace of God.
Well, I had told, I don't know, one of my friends that you were coming on. They're like, "Does she do politics?" I'm like, "I don't have to do politics. I'm not gonna rope her into politics." I said, "I respect her enough that I want her on the show because of who she is,
My gosh.
not because of what the show is."
Well, thank
You
you.
know?
Yeah, well, we've got plenty of good friends that can do politics much better than I all day long. I'm thinking Jan Morgan for one. Yeah, she is so forthright. She is so good, and
Right,
she is so learned because of everything that she's covered in her day as a broadcaster.
right.
All of that as a journalist. So I'm going to let Jan be Jan, and I'm going to let Fabe be Fabe.
You be Fabe, and we'll just have to get you back here. We'll have to do this again as you have stuff you
True.
want to come talk. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Fabe.
Thank you.
I
This is awesome.
I enjoyed this. All right, everybody. That's Fabian. I'm
Hi.
Zach. I hope God blesses each and every one of you today, and we'll be
Amen.
back. We'll do it again tomorrow.